breaking news. Dillon Danis out of the KSI fight, and FaZe Temperr Sensei has been added to the main event. First thing, before we get into that, what are your thoughts on Dillon pulling out? Because we basically got raked over the coals for our prediction, bro.
Listen, the only thing that I thought was that, okay, the reason he's not going to pull out, my main reason was that it's too much money. And this dude's supposed to be a professional fighter as his career, and he doesn't fight.
Right.
So I'm like, he must not have money. So I guess I was wrong. The dude, I should have been counting his money. He must have money because there's no way this guy is like, I
don't know, man.
Is broke.
I think his family does have some money. I'm not going to say that he relies on it or whatever, but
But still, but maybe that makes sense. Okay, he's comfortable. He gets taken care of. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's no reason to go out there because if a guy needs this break, needs the cash, right?
Yeah.
Needs the opportunity to
be
better himself or whatever, you're not there's
doing
no
that.
way you're not gonna do that. Especially if you made the walk in Bellator, you made the walk against quote unquote more dangerous guys. Like a jiu-jitsu guy walking into an MMA fight, that's dangerous, bro.
For sure.
So you're walking into that. You know, he's competed against some of the best guys in the world in his sport. So to me, it just maybe felt like I don't need this type thing. And I just thought he was more broke or something, but I guess not. I guess he's
What
chilling.
are your thoughts on the whole thing in general? Like, we have the tweet here. Dillon says the truth will shock everyone. And then we have PJ doing something underneath here. What?
Oh, of course.
PJ.
Oh, my God, PJ.
Holy
I
cow.
love that guy.
He said, fight me in jiu-jitsu.
Flying Kimura?
It looks like a
omoplata.
Omoplata, yeah. Flying omoplata for the world
That's dangerous
championship.
on that guy's freaking rotator cuff, first of all.
I know. And shout out G Fuel, I guess, in there. Not sponsored, but for PJ.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the surroundings of it? Like, Mams came out and said basically it was because of 3 reasons. 1, he was underprepared. Apparently, this is Mams obviously speaking here, but 1, underprepared. 2, didn't have a team, and 3, was not making the weight. These are the things that Mams said came from Dillon's team. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, how does it come from his team if he doesn't have one? What team is
his
this?
legal team, I guess. He didn't have a boxing
Maybe they can
team.
hold pads or something.
He was having trouble.
He had that one guy, but I already thought that. I thought this Dillon had the mentality of I'm gonna go in there, I don't care, I'm gonna compete, and this is it.
Right.
He's a guy who trolls to try to get big fights that he shouldn't be in.
Right.
Like before KSI, he's been calling out people like crazy, like people he shouldn't fight. Canelo of the world, like we're talking
I
like
know.
people. So he gets a fight with KSI, a guy who you think he can
gets
potentially
the one.
compete with.
He gets it.
Right, and a good one for him.
Yeah.
This is probably the biggest
It was, by the
person
way.
he could fight.
It was the
in
most
terms
amount of money.
and competition.
It was the most amount of money.
And close in competition.
And close, yeah.
But then and then this whole thing. I already knew he'd be unprepared. We saw him training.
Yep.
But so was Ben Askren, and so was
Still showed up.
They were also right. So I thought it'd be like that. He would just show up and do it, but I don't know. Maybe
I know a lot of people weren't shocked. I actually was. I was like, wow, what a new low for Dillon Danis. Like, what if it could get any lower?
It's over.
What a new low. It's over. It's
unless
100%
something
over.
crazy comes out on.
Unless he had some disease,
the truth,
or like he is like in the hospital and no one knows type thing.
If the truth is actually shocking, then okay. But other than that,
from what we know, this is just malfeasance, like complete ignorance and lack of awareness and lack of any kind of care or respect for the event. That was the biggest thing that got me. Like, you wouldn't do this to Scott Coker. You haven't done it to Scott Coker. But you do it to us because we're the influencer scene. I'm so sick of the disrespect. These influencers, KSI, everybody else on the card, Temperr, these people took it seriously. And now they are cleaning up your mess. The non-fighters are actually fighting. The fighter pulled out because he was unprepared, from what we know. That's what pissed me off, because it's just like, we take this more seriously than you do. That's the hilarious part. So, but anyway, Dillon's off the card.
Yep.
We now have a new main event, and it is your brother, Tommy, FaZe Temperr, in the main event. Before we start looking over the matchup and everything else, what were your thoughts as soon as you saw the news?
I was shocked.
Yeah.
And my initial thoughts was, I hate that I can't be there.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. Was like, damn, Sensei's not going to be there.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't be there. And then the next thing I thought was, not enough time.
Yeah.
Like, it's a short notice, and the opportunity is so big for Tommy.
Yep.
So I was happy that he's getting this opportunity. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get it.
Huge.
It's a bump to KSI to fight KSI. You know what I'm saying? People are doing everything they can to get this fight. They have to win. They got to showcase and do all this stuff just to even get their name in this fight. We thought it was going to be Dylan Dennis and then Joe Fournier and then maybe Slim or maybe somebody else.
Yep.
And Temperrr gets to cut the line, right? Which we'll talk about that why in a second. But I was excited, but I was like, oh, no, this is such a big opportunity, and I just want to make sure that he's prepared and ready.
Yeah.
You know, for an opportunity like this. So
exactly.
And then a part of me just felt like, oh, the whole thing got into the mystery opponent.
Yep.
And I didn't like that because I thought, like, what's Misfits doing here?
Yeah.
Why is my guy? He's going to fight in the UK again.
That's another thing.
My guy he has to fight a mystery opponent, and then not only that, he's now the bump, you know, the fill-in fighter for KSI.
Yeah.
And he just can't. He had the knockout loss versus Slim.
Mm-hmm. Another short notice.
Another short notice, but then over at Flow, no time to prepare. Whatever.
Another short notice. Yeah.
And no ring time either.
Yeah, he really hasn't had ring experience.
So no chance to recover. He hasn't been in a real dogfight since Slim.
Yeah.
Right? So just off of that, my initial feelings were like, oh man, like I'm super happy, but this is not how you want to step into a fight with a guy like KSI who takes it this seriously and who's been preparing and getting ready for Jake Paul, and you know what I mean? And that level of experience over Tommy. Mm-hmm. But hey, you get the opportunity, you step up to the plate,
exactly.
So I'm happy for him there. But I'm just like, oh. And then obviously, I always root for KSI. I want to see KSI fight Jake Paul.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see him.
You're in a tough spot.
Yeah, because I want to see him continue this hype train and finally meet up with Jake.
Yep.
So if Tommy wins, right? Is it over?
I mean, you'd have to think it's going to be.
Does Jake Paul not take that fight?
It's going to be a far, far cry from what we thought it would be. 100%.
Right. So now it's like, does Tommy take that train now?
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
now he's just back in the mix, and does the KSI Jake Paul thing finish? So as a YouTube boxing fan and as a fan of KSI, a guy who literally brought me into the YouTube community, the YouTube boxing community, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man who literally is the godfather of YouTube boxing.
Yeah.
Brought me into the scene against the guy who was my brother who literally got me into YouTube. I wouldn't have a YouTube channel. By the way, I wouldn't, just so you know, guys, I wouldn't even have an Instagram. Tommy literally created my Instagram. Like he was like I'm the uncle and that was like my nephew. He literally created my Instagram for me, my Twitter for me. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So like, I'm just like, oh, this just sucks.
It seems YouTube boxing continues to put you in a tough spot, bro. That's what it is. You're always in a tough spot. It's so funny.
And I knew it. I've been saying
sucks,
this.
But it's time. It was going to happen. You knew this.
Because I was there from the beginning.
Yep.
And because of the way that I came in, I was all about creating alliances.
Yep.
With everyone, because I love the idea and I wanted it to propel and do well. So, and then I'm like, now here we are. I'm just in the middle of it. I know all my guys going to be fighting each other. I'm going to have to fight guys. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
Okay.
Just my whole feeling that I try to get across in my attempt at a video.
I think you did a good job. Now, talk to me about this. This is another important part of this. Why do you think Temperrr was the pick?
Possibly because as a Misfits, right? You have the organization, you have the promotion, and you have this fight card.
Yeah.
Why mess up any other fights of their contracted fighters?
Yep.
If Tommy doesn't have an opponent. And now I don't know if he had one or not.
I think he had multiple, or we still don't know what that was with the mystery fighter. We still have no idea, and apparently we may never know because we don't know what's going on with that now. But
it seemed like naturally he was the easiest guy to pick because you didn't have to deal with contracted fighters no longer fighting or finding other fighters to fight. We could just fill him in, you know. And I think maybe a little bit of, how should I say, like disappointment and maybe a sense of urgency from KSI because now he has another fighter pull out.
Yep.
Just like, screw it. Okay, let's just go. Let's just get this done immediately. I don't want to do this whole thing.
Right.
Because it would have been a mess. Let's say, who do you pick? George Fournier? Oh, his fight. You got to find another opponent for his other guy.
Exactly. That's something no one's talking about. Is like, if you're going to keep guys on the card, even because the name out there, people obviously had thought Joe Fournier, because Mams had said Joe Fournier is going to be the guy should this happen. Like, he said that. Now, my whole thing was, okay, maybe it's the weight with Joe Fournier, but I didn't think about, okay, they're going to have to replace whoever it is for Joe Fournier or pull that guy off the card.
These guys are contracted to fight.
Exactly. So it's like, how are we going to
rip him off the car?
Right. So exactly. So how are we going to get this guy a fight? Are we going to try to shuffle some fights around? And then Joe Fournier said, no, it's not a weight issue. They just want the easiest fight, and I'm the hardest or whatever. And I don't think that's the case. Right. I think Temperr is a pick mostly because of what you said. I think it's the easiest one to make as far as like not shifting your card around. And they probably do want to reward Temperr a bit for taking how many short notice fights over and over. And they're like, okay, this guy's doing it again. He's stepping up. Let's maybe give him something to chew on here. But
I do want to say though, I do feel like that is a part of it though, that you, and it's not a shot at KSI, but I do think that since it wasn't KSI's fault, I don't think you take a tougher opponent.
It's harder to do. Plus, you've been training for a southpaw for how long now?
Correct. Yeah.
Tommy's a southpaw. It does seem to line up that way. Like, if you train for 6 months for a southpaw and you get a righty that's 9-0 thrown at you, you're like, what the hell, you know? And I'm sure that KSI, you know, knowing what we know about him, is probably like, okay, let's do it. But it was probably a talk between, you know, Misfits or whoever and his team and go, can we get a similar matchup in some way? Because we've been training for this style. Like, this is what we've been training to do.
Yeah, and Temperr's there with no opponent.
And Temperr there with no opponent, exactly. And another name that I personally would have liked, and I've been saying, and we've been saying for a long time, he was just on the show. Shout out my boy Slimmy Slim. He was on the card. He was available, and that's another name people are like, why not Slim? Right. Again, the only thing I can think of is the style matchup and the potential of what you talked about, Slim being pulled from the Tom Zanetti fight, and then who do you put Tom with? Because he's going to have to fight, right? So that's like another thing where you bump him, but for who? That's the hard part. So,
but also, maybe they're thinking KSI. Another part of me thinks if I'm a promoter, right?
Yeah.
KSI and Slim, that fight could be bigger
in the summer, maybe.
Why waste it on a short notice?
Yeah, and I said the same thing in my video. Like, you build to it, right? You have Slim do what he does. He's great in these pressers. He's great in the build-up. Even look at this video. Let's pull this up, because Slim obviously had some things to say about this, and you knew he was going to.
Yeah, of course.
But he has every right to, right? He's another guy. He's supposed to be the Misfits hitman, you know what I'm saying? So you have Slim talking his stuff. Maybe he deleted it. I don't know. But there is a video where yesterday he basically said, yo, KSI, I didn't finish my meal today either. Did you want some of those leftovers?
I saw that.
I don't know if he deleted it. He might have deleted it, but which I don't know why he would, man.
Yeah, why would he delete that?
I don't know. It's not like it's some crazy thing. But he also put this though today on Twitter. What was it? They've been back and forth, both of them going back and forth all day today. It's funny to me when I see KSI saying he'll knock me out, because he said that on the Tommy face-to-face today. I don't know if you saw that. Say he would knock Slim out too. Because honestly, I'll make him look like the rest of the dudes I slumped. KSI wasn't having it. KSI comes back. You wouldn't at all. The idea of having two Misfits belts does sound good to my ears, though. And then we got the...
See, this is what I'm saying.
I know.
I think it's smart from the promotion, because they go, oh, these guys are going to be pissed that they're not getting the fight, so they're going to be talking about it, and it just creates
you got Slim coming back and forth
for later fights.
I'm too dangerous for you, hence why you fighting the dude I slept. I ain't no Wasabi Swarms Pineda. I'll be waiting for you to come try and take it. Hey, this is perfect build, though. This is why you start this build.
It is.
And it might be an unfortunate... It might be like a happy accident that we're getting it this way. Because if you do... Like, the whole Joe Fournier thing, I know he's a big-time experience, right? Big win if KSI can get it. And sure, it may better prepare him for Jake, but it isn't necessary to get to Jake. It isn't. Like, to get to the Jake fight, if that's the ultimate goal, to get there, Joe Fournier is not necessary. Yes, it may be necessary for him to take that next big step in competition to be ready and qualified for the Jake fight. That's fine. But And we're going to talk about why I don't think that fight's happening as soon as it would have potentially earlier, but we're going to do that in a little bit. If you do Slim in the summer, let's say KSI, and we're not saying Tommy's getting smoked here, that's not the case, but let's say KSI beats Tommy. If you do it in the summer, it's a perfect build. Slim has to get through Tom, we know this, but it's a perfect build for these two guys, and it's a big happy accident because now Slim is not like the happy-go-lucky, hey, KSI, please, I just want the opportunity. Now it's, oh, you think you can KO me, we'll come and take it. And, KSI doing his whole thing too, so this is perfect, man. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is perfect. It is perfect.
You got to get there, though. We got to get there.
The stars are aligning in terms of, like, KSI had an opponent drop out.
Yep.
But these things are from a promoter's perspective, are pretty aligned.
And a community perspective. Let's be honest. Like, Dylan was a fun fight. It was cool. It was going to be like, oh, KSI's beating the guy that everybody wants to see get beat up, whatever. But for the YouTube boxing community, I know people are like, oh, we're doing the YouTuber thing again. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. We are still the influencer boxing community. And if we see guys rising through the ranks, like a Slim, like a Temperrr, whoever, and they deserve an opportunity and KSI is willing to give it, I think that's pretty fucking cool, man. Like, I think that's cool. You know what I mean? Why not?
Yeah, for sure.
At some point, the scene's not going to go on once those guys are done if we're not giving back to where we start.
Correct.
Correct. So
that's 100%.
I think that's dope. Now, let's make some big boy predictions, Sensei, because you're not going to be there, and we already filmed this prediction video, and we made our predictions for Danis and KSI, but we're going to scrap that. We'll keep the rest of the video, but I got to put you on the spot here because I need to know what you think. What happens? I'm not making my prediction yet, and I don't think I will be making one because I'll be commentating on that.
I know.
But what happens in this fight? We don't have to go right to how it ends, but how does this fight go?
Yeah. Oh, man, dude.
Because Tommy's pretty confident, man. You know what he said in the face-to-face today, which kind of scares me a little bit because I've heard Tommy talk like this before. He told KSI he's not going to touch him. I don't think you're going to be able to touch me. And I'm like,
I know. Now, okay. A question. Do you think KSI may be overlooking Temperrr a bit?
I mean, there's probably a component to it. Tommy definitely thinks so.
Yes.
And I think there's a component to him. It could have been anybody. You could have thrown Slim in there. You could have thrown freaking God himself, and KSI would have been like, nah, he's on that level right now mentally, right? But I do think
the thing is,
there is a level of that.
When you look at these guys, right, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a boxing coach or a boxing connoisseur to realize the issues with this fight stylistically.
Right.
Everybody knows. Yep. It's not like there's going to be, you're going to be, like, I'm going to be saying anything anybody doesn't know.
Right.
Right. KSI comes forward with crazy pressure. Tommy has not fought well inside.
Yeah.
Right? So this is not so, we all know this. Okay? God damn it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I mean, it's just, you're being honest, man. That's exactly what it is. And I think, if you're Tommy, you have to know what you're getting into here. You have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, you have, and you've heard me in the hotel rooms and,
bro.
Other behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Pulling my hair out.
That's why he doesn't have any. You see? This is why he keeps it. That's why he keeps it close.
Thinking, golly. Just early on with Tommy, and by the way, this is before he even competed. This is just when I would work with him and stuff like that. Back in the day, that Taekwondo background, that super tall.
Mm-hmm.
Because he relies so much on his length, we know that he wants to keep it at the distance.
Yep.
And that's his strength. And when things get in close, we see that chin popping up. Right. This is what everyone sees now. Right.
Yep.
And then Slim obviously caught an eye for that, and just went for broke and was able to expose that.
Yep.
Right? Now, this is something that obviously Tommy's been trying to work on and trying to make it not so much of a crutch or make it so much of a weakness.
Of course.
So that he can stick to his style. You don't got to be able to fight on the inside. You just got to not get taken advantage of on the inside.
Yes.
And not get worked. You know what I mean? You don't have to make that a strength. However, I will say, I would have rather Tommy have, like, let's say, for example, if Tommy had beat Slim on a decision, whatever.
Yeah.
And Slim isn't able to connect on the inside.
But it's still there. He's just not able to connect.
And yes, and Tommy wins. And then he gets this fight. I would be more scared then.
Yep. 100%.
Than I am with the fact that I know Tommy obviously had a bad knockout and it's not good for his health, right?
Yeah.
But he's recovered clearly. the thing is, having that kind of wake-up call, that kind of exposure early on as a fighter,
it does switch things on.
That's got to wake you up.
It's
like I tell my students, especially my kids, you got to keep your hands up. Listen, you know what? You don't listen to me, you're going to find out when we're sparring.
Yeah.
And they go, bang, and they go, oh, I don't like that anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, to me, what I'm hoping for is what I can see is a Tommy who's a lot more alert.
Yeah.
And aware of that big shot that I think that he wasn't aware of before.
Yeah.
That he's been able to get away with in sparring because he's so much taller than his guys and he can use his footwork. And he's always just out of the way.
Yeah.
Tommy, always just out of the way. And it didn't work for him. Mm-hmm. And we didn't get a chance to see him in a dogfight with PJ. But I know, listen, that's what he's been training for.
Yeah.
This is you haven't learned this lesson. We knew that was a weakness. Then that lesson has been taught to him in the toughest way possible.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine, right? I got to have faith in my guy that when he goes out there, he is going to be, if anything, overly cautious.
Right.
That he's going to know that right hand's coming. And the fact that it was a right hand that Slim landed it, and that's JJ's punch that he throws, an overhand, I got to think that it's going to be a lot harder for JJ to do it now, that the fact that Tommy's already been knocked out. I think people might think, oh, Slim knocked him out. That's what KSI is going to do.
KSI thinks it's hard. KSI thinks
yeah, it's hard to lose the same way twice.
Yeah.
There's obviously other ways you can lose, but it's hard to lose the same way twice just because, like, you develop that scar tissue. You develop a little bit of that, that caution to it. You see guys who are, like, super aggressive and get knocked out, they become less aggressive over time.
Yep.
And they become a little bit more methodical with the way they approach. So what I'm hoping, again, we haven't seen Tommy really. We only saw it with PJ. And
right.
And
he basically stepped on PJ. As soon as PJ threw anything, it was boom, counter.
And there's not a lot of time to learn. So
right.
This isn't something about a skill set that I think that he's learned these new things. I think it's just a fighter IQ, just fight awareness of you got to be switched on. You can't just stand there and cover or start reaching, right? There's got to be, in the back of his mind, I think, that level of focus, that intensity of that awareness of that shot coming, I think is going to be powerful. And JJ, that's the thing he's always looking for.
Every time. Jab to the body, massive overhand.
Yes. So I'm like, listen, if Tommy can do this right and JJ is aggressive like he typically is, Tommy can scratch out a decision. I really think he can clinch, become annoying. And I think this is, remember how Tommy beat Kenny?
Yeah.
Using his jab, using his footwork.
That.
Exactly what we've seen Tommy do.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a new game plan.
Right.
I just think Tommy's, I always think the technical decision is easier to employ than the knockout.
For Tom, yeah.
Right, just like in general, if two guys are close in the skill, it's easier to be the guy that's going to grind out a technical a
you
decision.
You think that's the case here? You think they're that close in skill?
I think offensively it's pretty close.
I could agree with that. I worry.
Offensively it's pretty close.
I don't even know that defensively it's any further apart. I don't know that we've really seen KSI be put on his back foot and really
and that's the thing. KSI, unfortunately, not to his own fault here,
never had to.
His last two fights were not challenging fights.
Oh, never had to.
So he hasn't been pushed since Logan, right? And that was a long time ago.
And even then, he was doing the pushing. He was pushing Logan around.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Obviously, he fought Logan. Logan's a bigger guy, so he's used to fighting bigger guys.
That's
another thing too.
Yeah.
Not 6'4", but he's used to that, right? So he's used to coming forward.
Yep.
But Tommy does a good job of striking off his back foot. He does everything. He's done everything very well, except when it gets this close. Yeah. So, and when you look at his skill set, if you look at his, if you watch him on film, everything until it gets close, that man is sliding out the way, angles,
tagging,
popping shots, seeing everything. You know what I mean? Making people miss. So
you just worry about the flurry with Tommy. What Slim did so well was follow up.
The fight.
Follow up.
When it gets ugly.
When things got close, he didn't just stop and clinch. He followed up, right? He continued to punch, continued to change levels, throw feints, and just make Tommy work. Like when it was Kenny's turn, Tommy was like, cool, boom, boom, out of the way. Okay, my turn. Bang, 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 on the counter. Slim didn't give him that, okay, your turn, my turn. He just kept moving forward, kept making Tommy defend.
And obviously, KSI, I think, can, because of his power and because of Tony, when he closes the gap, it's going to get real dangerous for Tommy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's not going to stop.
Correct.
Unless Tommy puts straight shots on him.
Yeah.
Think.
It's got to be straight down the pipe. He's got to fight. He's got to move. I should say move at the same speed, at the same tempo.
Yeah.
Slim, when Tommy got caught, and this is what happens when guys get caught, the tempo slows down.
Yeah.
And that actually causes the knockout more than the punches itself. We tend to slow down. You saw Izzy against Alex Pereira. He got caught, and for some reason, he kept his back against the cage instead of turning up the tempo and getting out of there, right? Sometimes they just lose this alertness, and they kind of like see the punch. They know it's coming, and they kind of just get swallowed by the moment. But I think Tommy has to. He can fight fast. He's got good footwork for his size. He's a fast guy.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're looking for the path to victory, KSI, if he's able to close that gap and get by Tommy's jab and create that pressure, and Tommy's not able to establish a clinch to get him back out to safety, then we're looking at a potential TKO here, because it's just JJ has that ability.
Yeah,
we know this, right? So
it's a dangerous fight for Tommy, very much so on short notice, but he also understands what he's walking into. And like you said, man, the goal is be switched on, be aware of the danger, and from there, just, you know what I'm saying, fight your fight. Tommy said something I really took to, and I really enjoyed about what he said in his presser today. I'm going to do a little breakdown on it, but they were saying, you know, Tommy, how do you prepare on such short notice? And Tommy's like, I'm not preparing for anyone. I'm preparing myself. I'm like, I'm trying to just get better. And I like that, and you know, people are going to be like, you should prepare. I get that. But for what he's talking about, he's at that level now where he is trying to better himself. Like, you can get to a point like Jake's level where you can start to pinpoint, okay, this is what we want to do to opponents. This is how we want to do it, because that skill set is already baked in. There's no thinking. There's no reacting other than, okay, physically I'm switched on. These reactions are normal. This is stuff that's embedded in me. So now I can go and put a game plan together with the tools I already have, and I don't have to worry about, okay, my hands are here, I'm this. Tommy still needs to work on some of that. So him being prepared himself is step number one, and I think that's honestly what's going to lead to him being more successful. It's going to be a tough fight, man. There's no doubt about it. But there's a path.
Tommy's path to victory is via decision.
Yeah.
And making this thing super technical in that range.
Yeah.
Right? And we know KSI's path to victory is pressure, pressure, pressure.
Yeah. No, yeah, Tommy's going to have to be technical like he was against Kenny. We're going to watch some of these highlights here. Like, you're not going to see this out of KSI. You know, you're not going to see him waiting.
He's going to be there for a second, and then he's going to blitz on you, dude.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff. And even Tommy playing that lead hand game is great, man. Watch him parry this. Come here, yow. You know what I'm saying? Get that out of here, clean out the lane. Like, this stuff you're not going to see.
No.
You know, and that's slick from Tommy for sure, right? Being here, recognizing, okay, we're done exchanging, whoop, out of the way,
slide,
bang. But you're just not going to see a lot of that from KSI. What you're going to see is what Slim gave him, you know?
Right. And that's the thing. He just dealt with that, right?
Yeah, it should be fresh in his mind.
It's just that JJ is going to be a fresh fighter who's stronger and faster.
Yeah.
Right. That's the part that I'm like, oh, my God.
Yep. So we're going to see, man.
You know what's funny? I haven't looked at this fight a lot.
You haven't?
No.
It was a lot of feinting from Slim and just some awkward backhand lead hand attacks. Like, he was using that right hand.
And I do think that Tommy did not have a healthy fear of Slim.
Yeah.
Because Slim is so unassuming, and you know what I mean?
Right. He's not like built very big, and he's not like, you know.
I think Tommy's standing in front of him and kind of walking and being flat-footed.
Just continuous feints. And this is a nice little counter there from Tommy. Right? Slim overextends on the backhand. Hands kind of down. Tommy takes a swipe, just wasn't able to get there. That was another thing, Tommy, a lot of looping shots in this fight where straight shots would have been the answer. And that's what I think he could really take advantage of.
He admitted to headhunting a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it here. Watch this step-in lead hook.
He was emotional.
And just overthrows it. Slim, all he has to do is counter under it, underneath once again. And again, overshot. A lot of these shots are overly shot. These being straight shots can be the difference for Tommy.
And you can see here Tommy fighting emotional in the sense that he wanted to take his head off and getting suckered into a brawl here.
Yep. Bang.
Instead of right here. Okay, let me get back out. Let me circle out.
Nothing. Continue
sucking
swing.
into a brawl here.
Now we're in a firefight.
He's sitting down. I'm just going to stay there in the firefight.
Yep.
See, ducking his head forward like this.
Yep. And he wants to get
and
after
he felt like
it.
he landed something, so here he is in the firefight.
But even here.
And this is not Tommy's strength here.
Exactly. Why is this not a straight left hand? Right here, down the pipe. But instead we come around the guard where Slim can play head games and move around, right? Even if you throw this to Slim's body here, it's going to land somewhere. Right? That's going to land. If it's not his head, it's his body. But Temperr, like he admitted to this. He just thought he was, like you said, he was head hunting, he was overthrowing. And eventually that's
it's
what
funny
led to our big
Temperr
moment
and KSI
here.
are opposite fighters.
Yeah.
KSI fights out pure emotion and aggression, and Tommy needs to be methodical and technical.
I know. And that's kind of what led to our moment here where they break, Slim just walking into range behind a high guard. Tommy not able to keep him off. Bang.
Bang.
And that's where it all starts. And again, you said it. The emotion, the firefight gets him here. He wants to trade.
And also, Tommy's never been.
Boom.
Yeah, and he's never been there before. He's never been there before. When he first got cracked.
Yeah.
That cover.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Right. I've never been here before. I've never been cracked before this hard. Oh shoot! I'm just gonna cover up. I don't know what to do. Right.
Bang.
Not looking. He looked to trade there. He wasn't even looking to clinch.
That's what I'm saying. He wanted to firefight. He wanted to throw.
So not to having the awareness of that you're hurt. Not
See
being
that?
aware of the danger. See the extension of the arm, left hand extended, not being aware that right hand's coming. This is obviously inexperience, but this is a lot, and this was a glaring weakness of hole that Tommy had.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is one of his only ones. So if he can defensively, if he can close that, and get back to doing what he was doing, the Temperr that we talk about, the 6'4" guy that has good footwork and is at range,
he's a problem.
That's a dangerous guy. He's
a problem.
Right, and now he's starting to turn shots over.
Yes. We saw that. Actually, let's take a look at that before we end off here. Temperr, he was putting some footage out just a little bit for his mystery fight, and there's some stuff here, man, where you go back and you look like, don't forget, Temperr is still a very talented guy, man. Still uber talented in this scene. This is right around Christmas, him working with his coach, Wally. You can see, obviously, he's working those hooks. Sitting down on that lead hook more now, too. And there's pop here, man. And again, look how long, look how rangy the kid is. Bang, son. I haven't seen that hook from Temperr before.
No.
Never seen that.
Lead hook.
And even the backhand, I know he's working hooks here, but
it's tighter, though.
Yeah, everything's just tighter. There's
he's
more
stacking it. He's landing on more weight. Bang.
The hands are staying near our chin, And again, it's just bag work. Look at the shot to the body, ripping. Hey. I haven't seen that. And again, you want to tighten up some stuff off camera, and I'm sure they're doing that. So, like I said, it's a tough fight.
I'll say this,
but Temperr has a shot.
Kenny. Look at Kenny's performance.
Yeah.
Kenny, I had a fight with him, but he fought Tommy.
Yep.
Right. His first fight, it was a big challenge, and we didn't get to see him at his best. And I thought he fixed a lot of his holes and looked a lot better in his fight against me.
Yeah.
Made big strides in his very next fight where he took a loss,
massive strides,
and had a lot of adversity.
Yeah.
Right, in that fight, where Tommy didn't have that much adversity against Kenny. He was just, everything was on the outside. It was no pressure, really. Only one moment where we saw when Kenny turned it up.
Yep.
And I think that's when Slim went, "Oh,
yep.
I saw that." Right.
Yep.
And then Tommy's able to. I think Tommy's going to surprise people, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm really hoping that Tommy's able to showcase his improvement. Right. If it's a perfect world,
perfect world, you get a draw. That's a perfect world for you. You get a draw.
Yeah, they get a draw. KSI goes on to fight Jake. Tommy performs really well and goes on to fight everybody. We good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We good. That's what I'm really, obviously, what I'm hoping for. But I want to see my guy. I know what JJ can do.
Yep.
But I want to see Tommy grow.
Yeah.
Right. I want to see it, and he has all the tools for it, man. I'm just hoping this isn't too soon.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm not going to make any picks. I will say it's a tough fight for Temperr, but it's an opportunity. That's what he wants. That's what he's getting. Comment section, you let us know down below who wins this surprise main event and why. Guess we'll find out.